The tax year is ending soon, and these are the two most important things that you potentially urgently need to do before the end of the tax year if you are a high rate taxpayer. Let me straight away take you into my sheets. There's no foreplay here. And actually, the only things I'm going to plug, firstly, if you need a simple book to get you started investing, give Stop Waiting, Start Investing a read. And if you still need help with investing or want more personalized one-on-one help, check out the first link in the description. Now you're lubed up a little bit with those plugs. Let me take you into my sheets. Okay, so a high rate taxpayer is someone earning more than this amount on screen. And these are the two things you need to do. And I'm going to talk you through why these are so important. Just to quickly point out, I've actually made other videos. I'll put them on screen on potentially other things you need to do. But these are the two most important. So I want to make a whole video explaining them, and particularly because the tax year is ending, you need to try and do these as soon as possible. The first one is to utilize the 20k ISA allowance before it resets. Why? Because any allowance, as you probably know, is lost. Any allowance not used, is lost. But more importantly, is because ultimately with an ISA, any money in an ISA, you pay no tax on income tax, dividend tax, or capital gains tax. As you can see here, across the last few years, all of these allowances, or the dividend and capital gains allowance anyway, have massively come down, and the rates have gone up. The capital gains tax rates have already gone up, and dividends tax rates from the 6th of April 2026 are going up by 2%. So they're going up to 10.75% and then 35.75%. So essentially, there's less free money you can get through the allowance, and there's higher rates. And that's ultimately why ISAs are becoming more and more important. The main way to explain an ISA, of course, is that any profit is tax-free. So not only is it going to save you tax, which is great, you're going to be given less to HMRC, but it also just saves you a massive future tax headache. So if you've got any unused ISA allowance, I would say just try and fill it up. Even if you're not sure what to do with the money, just get it inside of an ISA. Have it sat as cash in your stocks and shares ISA, put it into an easy access cash ISA, just have it in the wrapper. You can always decide what to do with it next year, or move it to a different type of ISA, or move it to a different provider. It just needs to be in the ISA before the 5th of April. But even though all that sounds important, the reason why I think this is even more important is because of these two reasons here. From the next tax year, so from the 6th of April, okay, my makeshift light just dropped. Give me 1 second. Very high quality production line here. Here's my high quality light, as you can see. Hardly Martin Lewis, eh? Getting blinded by the lights. Call me The Weekend. That's a bad joke. But how is this all being held up? With an elastic band, of course. High tech here at the LMS studios. Okay. You're back in the room. So the reason why this is so important is because from the 2027 tax year, so from the 6th of April 2027 onwards, there's a double whammy of stuff happening. The first one is because savings tax is going up by 2%. So essentially any interest you earn on savings above your personal savings allowance, more on that in a second, is going to be taxed at a higher rate. But secondly, the cash ISA allowance is also coming down from 20k to 12k. So the overall ISA allowance is still going to be 20, but you can only put 12 into a cash ISA rather than 20. So this essentially means that you're saving money outside of an ISA, you're going to be paying higher tax rates, and you have less chance to then get more cash in an ISA from the 6th of April 2027 onwards. And that's why it's so important for this tax year up until the 5th of April 2026. And for the next tax year, up until the 5th of April 2027, to try and make as full use of the ISA allowance as possible, particularly if you have cash outside ISAs and you're paying tax on that interest. So that's the first point. The second point is then putting more into your pension, particularly if you're above this £50,270 income limit, or not limit, but income band. The reason why, first of all, is if you put money into your pension, you avoid paying 40% income tax at all. For most people, their marginal tax rate jumps from 28% as a basic rate taxpayer to 42% as a high rate taxpayer. If you have a student loan, unfortunately, that jumps from 37 to 51, which is pretty brutal, I know. But by putting money into a pension, say you earn £55,000, if you put 5k into a pension, you essentially get back into the basic rate band, and you completely avoid that 40% income tax. The reason why, though, I think this is even more important is because of that personal savings allowance point. So how this works is if you're a basic rate taxpayer, you could earn £1,000 in interest. So I can see someone, I've just made eye contact with someone looking at me recording this video. One day I'll have my studio, but for now I'm in my room. I've lost my trail of thought again. This is a funny video. Hi. Hopefully I'm not calling the police. I'm fully clothed, don't worry. But so, okay, when you're a basic rate taxpayer, you get a £1,000 personal savings allowance. So you can essentially earn £1,000 in interest before you pay any savings tax on that interest. The second you earn more than 5270, that gets cut in half. So you can only earn £500 in interest, and that's tax-free, and anything more than that is taxable. And of course, at that point as well, the savings tax is much higher at 40%. So for argument's sake, if you have £1,000, I'll do this live. If you're a basic rate taxpayer, you're not going to pay any tax. Perfect. If you're a high rate taxpayer, you only have a £500 personal savings allowance. So £500 becomes taxable, and you're going to pay 40% tax on that, which means you pay £200 in tax. That could have been avoided had you just used an ISA from point one, or if you've already used your ISA allowance, or for whatever reason don't want to put more money into an ISA, then you can put more into your pension to get your full 1K personal savings allowance back. This wasn't an issue even as a high rate taxpayer for literally a decade, maybe for 15 years, because interest rates were so low. But as they've now been higher over the last couple of years, you can quite comfortably get 3 to 4%, maybe even more. A lot of people are breaching their personal savings allowance. This combined with fiscal drag, with now 1 in 4 people being a higher rate taxpayer, mean more and more people only have a £500 personal savings allowance. So more and more people are going to pay savings tax on their savings interest. The main downside of a pension, of course, is that that money is locked up for the future, and the future is uncertain. Tax rates might change, pension rules might change, but that's still, of course, a very tax efficient account, probably the most tax efficient account in the UK. And of course, the more you can get in your pension, the more you're saving and investing for the future. You probably actually worked this out, but these 2 points do actually work quite well together as well, because if you're using your ISA allowance, then you're essentially avoiding all types of taxes in the future, regardless of whether the money's in a cash ISA or a stocks and shares ISA. And then by putting more into your pension, you've obviously invested more and also potentially getting yourself back below the 5270 tax cliff to avoid income tax and have your full 1K personal savings allowance. They are the 2 most important things to do before the end of the tax year. And even if you're watching this in the next tax year, still just keep these in mind and consider doing them. If you can obviously put more money consistently into your ISA and your pension each month to use these allowances, then that's a massive win. If you are a high rate taxpayer or you're getting near to that level, then watch this video here next. I essentially go through what happens and what changes when you cross over into the high rate band. And there are some ways where you can save thousands of pounds in tax. So click that video next and I'll see you in there.